ready for a deep dive into a field that makes the impossible, well, possible.
Sounds intriguing. What are we diving into today?
Animation, but not just the cartoons we grew up with.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's on the docket?
We're going behind the scenes to explore the career of an animator.
An animator. Cool. Where are we getting our intel from?
RoleCatcher's Career Library is our guide for this one. They've got some really interesting insights.
Nice. I'm always curious to see what RoleCatcher is highlighting. I feel like animation has become such a huge field, wouldn't you say?
Totally. I mean, it's everywhere. Movies, games, you name it. Even those explainer videos that make learning less painful.
Seriously.
Yeah.
But I think people underestimate the skill involved. It's more than just like making things move around on a screen.
Absolutely. And that's something RoleCatcher really emphasizes. Animators are storytellers, first and foremost.
They have to be, right?
Well,
You're using movement to convey emotion, create characters. You're essentially building entire worlds.
like they're breathing life into these still images. Pretty amazing when you think about it.
It really is. And speaking of amazing, can we talk about the software they use? Because that always blows my mind.
Right. It's like this whole other language they have to be fluent in. I'm ready for the tech talk.
So you've got your industry standard software like Adobe After Effects, which is the go-to for motion graphics, visual effects. Think anything from those slick transitions in YouTube videos to the opening credits of a blockbuster film.
Okay, see, those are the kinds of examples I need. Paints a picture. What else?
Then there's Autodesk Maya. It's a powerhouse for 3D animation, especially in film and video games.
Okay, so Maya is behind those incredibly lifelike characters and environments we see.
Exactly. And then you've got Blender, which is gaining popularity, especially among independent animators. It's open source, so it's free to use.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
It makes high-quality animation tools accessible to way more people.
Right. But no matter what software you're using, one thing that really stood out to me in RoleCatcher's analysis was the importance of a strong portfolio.
Because at the end of the day, you need to showcase your own artistic voice.
Yeah.
You've got to stand out.
Exactly. It's not enough to just know the
Right.
software. You have to show that you can use it to create something unique and compelling.
And that's where those fundamental animation principles come in, right?
Absolutely. Timing, anticipation, squash, and stretch. These are the building blocks of creating believable movement.
So it's this blend of technical skill, artistic talent, and a deep understanding of these principles.
And just like anything, there's always something new to learn, which is where this idea of continuous learning comes in.
Makes sense. The tech is always evolving. New software emerges. They mentioned online courses, which are great, and industry events like SIGGRAPH, which sounds kind of intense.
SIGGRAPH is like the ultimate gathering for computer graphics. You've got industry leaders, software developers, artists from all over, all coming together to share ideas and geek out over animation.
That's wild. So it's a chance to network, stay updated, and really immerse yourself in that world.
Totally. And speaking of expanding your horizons, the industries where animators are in demand, it's gone way beyond Hollywood, but I guess we'll dive into that a bit later. You know, you mentioning expanding horizons, it makes me think about how it's not just the styles of animation that are changing, but where it's being used, too.
True. It feels like animation is everywhere you look these days.
Yeah.
So what are the big ones? Where are we seeing the biggest changes?
Well, film and TV are still huge, obviously. But gaming is absolutely exploding.
Oh, for sure. And the animation in games is insane these days. It's like watching a movie sometimes.
Right. And it's not just those fancy cutscenes anymore. We're talking about designing those expansive worlds, creating characters that feel real, even animating the physics of how things move in those environments.
Wow, so it's like they're the architects and the choreographers of this whole virtual world.
Exactly. And then you've got the advertising world. I mean, animation is everywhere online, grabbing your attention, explaining products, even creating those memorable brand characters.
It's true. Our attention spans are, what, like 2 seconds now? Animation is a way to break through all the noise.
Absolutely. And it's not just about entertainment or grabbing attention. Think about e-learning. Animation can make educational content so much more engaging.
Yeah, it's like that saying, show, don't tell. Animation brings things to life in a way that just explaining something never could.
Totally. And speaking of bringing things to life, virtual reality is another area where animation is really taking off, and it's next level stuff.
VR. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm there. But what role does animation play? I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about a whole other level of immersion.
Right. In VR, you're not just watching a story unfold, you're in it. And animators are the ones creating those believable characters you can interact with, those environments that feel real, the way objects react when you touch them.
Oh, wow. So you're not just animating for a screen anymore. You're animating for someone's entire field of vision. That's incredible. It makes me think about the career path itself. With all these different applications, there must be so much room for growth in the field.
There really is. And RoleCatcher does a great job of breaking down those different career stages. You start with the junior animator, fresh out of school, maybe with some internships under their belt.
Okay, so at that point, you're just starting to get your feet wet in the professional world.
hmm
What kind of work do you typically do at that level?
Think of it as an apprenticeship. You're assisting those more senior animators, getting comfortable with the software, learning how a studio or agency actually works.
It's about mastering those foundational skills and building up your experience.
Yes. And, RoleCatcher gave this example profile of a junior animator, and it's interesting what they emphasized: a keen eye for detail, a passion for animation, a willingness to learn. Those are things you can't really teach in a classroom.
Right, it's that innate passion, that drive that you need. So how do you go from eager junior animator to seasoned pro?
That's when you become a full-fledged animator. You're taking on more responsibility, working more independently, you're creating high-quality animations, collaborating with clients, and hitting deadlines.
It's like you're not just following directions anymore. You're making creative decisions, managing your own workload.
Exactly. And the example profile for this stage highlighted a proven track record, a strong portfolio, being able to work both independently and on a team.
Collaboration is key. No matter what industry you're in, it seems like being able to work effectively with others is essential.
It really is. And as you gain experience and hone those skills, you can then move up to that senior animator role.
Senior animator. Okay, yeah, you're moving up in the world. What does that jump look like, responsibility-wise?
Well, now you're really stepping into a leadership role. You're not just working on individual animations anymore, you're overseeing entire projects. You might be mentoring junior animators too. Basically, you're making sure everything aligns with the creative vision.
So you need that strategic mind at that point, not just the technical chops.
Absolutely. And the example profile that RoleCatcher gives for a senior animator, they talk about a deep understanding of storytelling through animation, being adaptable to different styles, even being able to anticipate problems before they pop up.
It's like you've got to be one step ahead of the game at that point.
Exactly. Problem solver, visionary, you wear a lot of hats.
That's quite a progression. And is there another level beyond that?
There is. It's the peak of the animation pyramid. Lead animator.
The animator. Okay, now we're talking. What does that entail?
Ultimate leadership in the animation world. You're leading the whole animation team, overseeing every single animation to make sure the quality and consistency are there, managing schedules, budgets.
I bet you're collaborating closely with directors, clients, the whole shebang.
Absolutely. You're also mentoring a whole team of animators. It's high pressure, for sure, but the creative control is unmatched.
You're shaping the visual style of entire films, games. Wow. And speaking of things that are important, what about earning potential? I know our listeners always have their eye on that.
Rightfully so. The Bureau of Labor Statistics had some interesting data. As of May 2020, they found the median annual wage for multimedia artists and animators was $75,270.
Okay, so a decent starting point, but I'm guessing experience, location, all that plays a role.
Absolutely. A lead animator working on, say, a huge animated film in LA or New York, they're likely earning way more. And then there's freelancing.
Freelancing, that's a whole other ball game, isn't
For
it?
sure. You can set your rates, choose your projects, work remotely. A lot of animators are drawn to that flexibility.
That makes sense, especially with remote work becoming so common. Now, I know we've talked a lot about how RoleCatcher lays out these different career stages, but they don't just leave you hanging with the information, do they?
Not at all. They have tools that can actually help you land your dream job in animation.
Okay, so it's more than just research. They actually help you put your best foot forward.
Yeah. AI-powered resume help, interview practice with feedback, stuff like that. It's like having a career coach in your back pocket.
That's fantastic. So to wrap things up, it sounds like animation is a field that's ripe with opportunity if you have that creative spark, a passion for storytelling, and a love for bringing things to life.
It is. It's challenging, always evolving, and with tools like RoleCatcher, it's more accessible than ever.
And who knows, maybe one of our listeners will go on to create the next animation masterpiece.
I'd love to see it. There are so many stories waiting to be told.
Absolutely. So get out there, find your story, and animate it. Until next time, keep those creative sparks flying.